The crash. The sun had just set on Outpost 17, a quiet human base on the edge of a cold desert planet called Virax. Engineer Jack Mason was finishing his daily report when the ground suddenly shook. At first he thought it was a small quake, but then he heard it, a loud roaring sound in the sky. He ran outside. A ship, no, a burning ball of fire was falling from the clouds. It smashed into the ground just a few hundred meters away from the outpost, throwing up dust and fire into the air. Jack ducked behind a wall as the shockwave hit. For a few seconds, everything was silent. Then the emergency sensors beeped. Something was still alive out there. Jack grabbed his gear, a medkit scanner, and his old pulse pistol, and headed toward the crash site. His heart was racing. This planet was supposed to be dead. No life, no visitors. And yet, something had just fallen from the sky. As he approached the wreck, he saw smoke rising from a black, twisted alien ship. It didn't look like any human design. Sharp, sleek, and dark like a predator. One side was cracked open. He moved closer. Then he saw it. A creature, crawling out of the wreck, dragging one arm behind it. It was tall, almost 7 feet, with greenish-gray skin and long fingers tipped with claws. Its face was covered in dark lines like old scars. One of its eyes was glowing dim blue, the other closed. Jack raised his pistol. The alien growled. Then, in a strange but clear voice, it spoke. "Touch me again and I'll bite. But first, fix my arm, human." Jack blinked. He lowered the pistol slightly. "You can speak English?" The alien coughed. "Translator chip. Now, help me." The engineer looked at the creature's arm. Dislocated, bleeding thick purple blood, and badly burned. He had treated injuries before, but never anything like this. "I don't even know your anatomy," Jack said. "Fix or leave. Your choice." Jack looked back toward the outpost. If enemy ships followed this one, he didn't have much time. But if this alien was dangerous, helping it might be a mistake. Still, it didn't look like a soldier, more like a prisoner. Or a refugee. He knelt down and slowly reached for the alien's shoulder. "Don't move," Jack said. The alien snarled, but stayed still. Jack used the Meggle, wrapped the wound, and carefully pushed the joint back into place. The alien let out a sharp, growling cry, then went silent. Jack stepped back, ready for an attack, but the alien didn't attack. It just sat there, breathing hard, looking at Jack with tired eyes. "Why are you here?" Jack asked. The alien didn't answer right away. It looked toward the sky. "They're coming," it said softly. "They'll kill us both." Jack felt a chill in his spine. "Who's coming?" "My hunters. They want me dead. And now, you too." Jack didn't like the sound of that. "I should have just stayed in bed today," he muttered. The alien gave a weak smile. "Now you're part of this. No going back." Jack helped the alien stand. It was heavy but could walk, barely. He guided it toward the edge of the crash site, away from the fire and smoke. "What's your name?" Jack asked. The alien hesitated. "You wouldn't be able to say it." "Try me." "Zorath." "All right, Zorath. Let's get you inside before your friends show up." "They are not my friends," the alien said. "They are hunters. Killers." As they moved toward the outpost, Jack's scanner beeped again. A new signal. Something big was entering the planet's atmosphere. Too soon. He looked at the alien. "Is that them?" Zorath nodded. "Yes. They found me faster than I thought." Jack clenched his jaw. He hadn't signed up for war. He was just an engineer on a remote outpost, but now he had a strange wounded alien at his side, and something dangerous coming from the sky. Still, deep inside, he knew one thing. He couldn't leave this creature to die. Unlikely Alliance wind howled across the cold desert as Jack Mason locked the outpost doors behind him. The strange alien, Zorath, leaned heavily on his shoulder, leaving a trail of dark purple blood across the metal floor. Jack had questions, and 100 of them, but no time to ask. Above them, the warning sirens were still blinking. A ship, no, maybe more than one, was coming down through the atmosphere. Zorath dropped to one knee. "You need to hide me," he said through clenched teeth. "Why are they chasing you?" Jack asked. "What did you do?" The alien's glowing eye narrowed. "I said, hide me. Ask questions later." Jack didn't trust him. Not yet. But something in Zorath's voice wasn't just fear. It was shame. Regret. He helped the alien into one of the med bays, sealed the door, and activated a privacy shield. Then he went to the command terminal. The scanners showed a sleek black ship entering low orbit. Fast, quiet, no signals, no response. Military style. They were already scanning the surface. Jack whispered to himself, "They're not here to help." 30 minutes later, a small knock echoed at the main hatch, too soft to be human, too fast to be wind. Jack held his breath. The knock came again. Then a voice, calm and polite, came through the intercom. "Human engineer, this is Patrol Unit 12 of the Core Empire. We detected a crash near your station. Please allow inspection." Jack stayed quiet. Zorath had said they were hunters, killers. And now one was knocking at his door like a salesman. "Human?" The voice repeated. "We will not wait long." Jack turned on the outside camera. 3 tall figures stood in the dusty wind. They wore dark armor with no symbols. Their helmets were smooth and silent. Weapons were holstered, but not hidden. He clicked the mic. There was a crash, yes. Nothing left but fire and metal. No survivors. A long silence. Then the lead figure stepped closer. "We will confirm that ourselves." Jack hesitated. "Radiation risk. I advise against entry." The second figure raised a small device. "We have countermeasures. Open the door." Jack's heart pounded. He glanced at the med bay. Zorath was unconscious or pretending to be. He had 2 choices. Let them in, or lie harder, so he lied. "There's a problem with the main hatch. Systems damaged from the shockwave. Needs 5 hours to reset." This time, all 3 aliens turned toward each other, whispered something in their language. Then the leader looked directly into the camera. "Very well," he said, "but we will remain nearby. If we detect deception, we will return." They walked away into the dust. But Jack knew they weren't gone. Just watching. Waiting. That night, Jack sat beside Zorath, who had finally opened his eyes again. "They were here," Jack said. Zorath winced. "They always come." "Who are they?" "My kind," Zorath whispered. "But not my people." Jack shook his head. "That doesn't explain anything." Zorath slowly sat up, his arm trembling. "They are enforcers of the Core Empire. I used to work for them. I was a scientist. I made weapons. Until I refused to build a new one. One that could wipe out species like yours." Jack blinked. "You refused to build it?" "I escaped. They called me a traitor. Now they hunt me." Jack stood and paced the room. "So, you brought a war to my front door?" Zorath didn't answer. He just stared at his bandaged arm. Then he said, "They won't stop. If they don't find me here, they'll scan every corner of this planet. And when they don't find me, they'll burn it." Jack stared at him. "You're saying they'll destroy this entire planet just to kill one person?" "I'm not a person to them anymore. I'm proof." Proof that one of their own said, "No." Silence filled the room for a long time, then Jack spoke. "What do we do now?" Zorath looked up, eyes hard. "We fight. Or we run. But if we run together." Meanwhile, on the orbiting core ship, the commander watched the outpost on the screen. "Send in the microdrones," he said. "I want every breath, every shadow, every word inside that base." Tiny machines, no bigger than grains of sand, launched from the underside of the ship, and below in Outpost 17, none of them knew they were already being watched. The enemy arrives. The sun never fully rose on Virex. A permanent haze of dust and cloud kept everything in a dull red glow. But this morning felt darker. Jack hadn't slept. Zorath had fallen unconscious again, weakened from blood loss. Jack had done all he could. Cleaned the wounds, reinforced the med patch, even adjusted the thermal settings to match what little he knew of Zorath's biology. Still, none of that bothered him as much as the growing signal on the radar. Something big was coming. Bigger than before, and it wasn't hiding. He watched the blip move slowly across the radar screen. Deliberate, steady, and heavy. This wasn't a scout. This was a hunter coming to collect its kill. Jack activated the outpost's external sensors. Wind howled outside and sand swirled like angry ghosts. But through the static he could see it, a black dropship cutting through the sky like a blade, headed straight for him. He stood up slowly, breathing deeply. This was no longer about survival. It was about buying time. He walked back to the med bay. Zorath was awake now, but barely. "They found us," Jack said quietly. Zorath blinked slowly. "Then we run?" "No," Jack replied. "You can't. Move. Not yet. And if we try to run, they'll shoot us before we make 10 steps. Zorath grunted. "They always do." Jack gave a dry laugh. "Yeah? Then let's make it harder for them this time." 10 minutes later, the core ship landed, silently like a predator in the dark. Its wings folded upward and a ramp hissed open. 3 armored soldiers stepped out, taller than before, heavier, carrying high-voltage rifles. But there was a 4th figure behind them, unarmed. No helmet. She looked different. Human? No. Her skin shimmered faint blue under the dust light. Her eyes glowed softly and small silver implants ran down her neck like vines. She stepped forward and spoke, her voice smooth and clear. "Human engineer, we are here for the fugitive. Give him to us and we leave. Refuse and we erase this outpost." Her tone had no hate, no anger, just complete certainty. Inside the control room, Jack watched her on the monitor. He turned on the mic. "He's gone." A pause. She tilted her head. "Gone where?" "I buried him. He died last night." "Proof?" Jack stared at the screen. "You'll find a burned body at the crash site. Scans will match what's left of his DNA." Another pause. She turned to one of the armored soldiers. A silent nod. The group moved toward the crash site, weapons ready. Inside the outpost, Jack leaned over Zorath. "All right. We just bought ourselves 5 minutes, maybe less." Zorath's voice was weak. "Why help me?" Jack didn't answer at first. Then he said, "Because the last time I followed orders without asking questions, someone died. I'm not doing that again." Zorath stared at him. "You're a strange human," he whispered. "You're a strange everything," Jack replied. Outside, the core soldiers reached the crash site. The fire had died, but the heat signature still glowed in the wreck. One soldier scanned the area and found the body. A decoy Jack had built using heat gel, leftover meat packs, and Zorath's blood-stained armor piece. The scan was nearly perfect. Nearly. The woman narrowed her eyes. "It's a trick." The lead soldier turned back toward the outpost. "Send in the drones," she said calmly. Invisible to the naked eye, 5 micro-drones zipped through the air and into the outpost's ventilation system. Jack didn't see them, didn't hear them, but Zorath did. He winced and whispered, "They're inside." Jack turned toward him. "What?" "I can feel them. Buzzing." He tapped his temple. "Scanner implants. They're listening." Jack cursed and shut off every open signal in the room. Too late. They'd already heard too much. He grabbed the pulse rifle from the weapons locker. "I hope your people taught you how to shoot," Jack said. Zorath smiled faintly. "They taught me how to build guns. Shooting was a hobby." Outside, the core soldiers began marching toward the outpost. "No, more talking. No more pretending. The leader raised his arm. The ship's guns turned and locked onto the outpost power core. Inside, red lights blinked. Zorath pulled himself up using the wall, holding Jack's backup blaster. "If I die," he said, "make sure they don't get my tech. Burn it. Bury it." Jack nodded. "You're not dying today. If someone's going down, it's them." And then, the power went out. The whole outpost fell into darkness. Emergency lights kicked in, but only dimly. The drones had found the core and disabled it remotely. The attack was seconds away. Jack turned toward Zorath. "Time to prove we're worth all this trouble." Outside, the soldiers raised their weapons. Inside, the humans, well, one human and one maybe not quite friend alien, waited in the dark. The first shot echoed like thunder, and the war for Outpost 17 had begun. Escape together. Smoke curled through the dark halls of Outpost 17. Sparks rained down from broken ceiling, lights, and the ground trembled with each blast from the core ship outside. Jack slammed a steel plate over the shattered medbay door, just as another explosion rocked the building. Zorath, still limping from his wounds, clutched the side of a console for balance. "They've disabled your power grid. We're blind," Zorath muttered. Jack didn't respond. His hands were moving fast, loading a portable power cell, rebooting, manual controls prepping the emergency evac route beneath the outpost. "We're not staying," Jack said. "Not now." Zorath raised one eye ridge. "Where do we go?" Jack pointed to the floor. "There's an old mining tunnel below this base. It leads about 12 kilometers to a dead comms relay. If we can reach it, we might be able to contact Earth Command, or anyone." Zorath's voice dropped. "If they're jamming surface signals, your comms may not work." Jack locked eyes with him. "Then you better hope that alien brain of yours has something better." Zorath hesitated, then reached into his chest armor, the hidden part beneath the cracked plate. He pulled out a small crystal device, glowing faint blue. "This is a beacon core, illegal in core space. It punches through jammers and folds messages through microspace channels." Jack stared. "You had that this whole time?" "I didn't trust you." Jack gave a humorless smile. "We're getting shot at together. I think we're past the trust issues." Zorath nodded. "Then let's run." Outside, the core troops entered the outpost. Silent, armored, precise. The woman from before they were the silver-eyed one, led them in. "Thermal scans show nothing," one soldier reported. "Heat signatures ended 2 minutes ago." She walked to the med bay, saw the blood stains, the makeshift repairs, the empty bandage wrappers. Her hand moved over the wall, then stopped on a floor panel slightly warmer than the others. They went underground. Without a word, she activated a small orb from her belt. It floated above her hand, scanned the floor, then descended and vanished into the hidden hatch. Track them. Below ground, the tunnels were narrow and old, carved out decades ago by mining bots and long since abandoned. Jack's flashlight flickered, casting shadows that seemed to crawl. Zorath followed, breathing heavily. His wounds weren't fully healed, but his steps were steadier now. They moved in silence for a while, the kind of silence that held tension in its teeth. Then Jack spoke. "Why did you really run from them?" Zorath didn't answer at first. Then, "I created a weapon. It used living energy, something your people call neural entropy. It could erase a mind without killing the body. The core wanted to use it on rebel planets, civilians, children." Jack stopped walking. "That's not war, that's slaughter." Zorath nodded. "That's why I destroyed it and ran." They stared at each other in the dark. Jack finally said, "All right, you're not as much of a bastard as I thought." Behind them, a soft metallic ping echoed. Zorath spun, raising the blaster. "They're here." Jack grabbed his wrist. "No, wait," but too late. From the ceiling vent, something small and fast dropped. The silver orb. It hovered silently, scanning. Then it blinked red. Zorath fired. The orb shattered against the wall, but it was too late. They know where we are, Zorath said, Jack cursed. Keep moving. Above ground, the Corps commander watched the signal. They're in tunnel sector Delta. We'll cut them off. The soldiers split into two squads. One entered the mine through a second access shaft. The other circled to the relay station to cut off the humans' final escape point. Back underground, Jack and Zorath reached an old sealed hatch, rusted, dead. Jack ripped open a panel and rewired the locks manually, hands shaking from tension. Behind them, the sound of armored boots echoed faintly. Zorath turned. I'll hold them. No. We both go. They'll catch us. Jack glanced at the alien beacon in Zorath's hand, then shoved it into his own pack. You said this can send a message, right? Yes. Then they can't have it. And I can't send it without you. He finally unlocked the hatch. A sharp hiss. Cold air flooded in. The tunnel to the old relay tower. Let's go. At the surface, lightning cracked through the sky. A rare storm forming over Virex. The Corps dropship powered up its heavy cannon. The commander had one order. If they fail to capture the fugitive, destroy the planet's last comm structure. Inside the relay tower, Jack and Zorath reached the main panel. Broken screens, dust-covered keys, but the core system still hummed. This place still has power, Jack said. Zorath tossed him the beacon. Plug it into your system. I'll shield the tower. Shield it how? Zorath raised his blaster and aimed it at a pile of fusion batteries. Jack's eyes widened. You'll blow the tower. Zorath shook his head. I'll blow the entrance. Buy us time. The signal was almost ready. Jack typed a final command. Message encoding, 80%. Zorath fired at the tunnel mouth. Boom. The entrance collapsed. Dust and rock fell. The structure trembled. Zorath slumped against the wall. You better hope you're People are listening, human. Jack stared at the flashing light. Message sent. But would anyone come? Above, the core ship prepared to fire. A voice rang through the air. Destroy the tower. The sky turned red with weapon charge. Inside, Jack and Zorath held their breath. Secrets and betrayal. The blast at the tunnel entrance had sealed them in, but only for a while. Jack knew that. Zorath knew it too. The collapsed stone and steel wouldn't hold back the core forever. Inside the relay tower, the alien beacon blinked slowly, its signal finally sent. Somewhere out in space, someone might have heard, but no reply had come yet, and time was bleeding away. Jack crouched near the broken console, checking system after system. Useless. Most of the tower's comms were fried. He only had one working uplink, powered by Zorath's forbidden beacon. Zorath sat nearby, quiet and breathing heavily. His wounds were getting worse. You lost a lot of blood, Jack said. Zorath nodded. I'll survive. For now. They both stared at the console screen. No response. No rescue. And then a small light blinked. Incoming signal. Human encryption source. Base Station 9, Earth Force. Blacksite Jack's eyes widened. That's one of ours. Zorath looked at him. Your people? Jack activated the channel. Static. Then a voice. Jack Mason, this is Commander Elias Rourke. We received your distress signal. Hang on, son. Help's coming. Jack's breath caught in his throat. Rourke, you're still alive? You thought I wasn't? The voice laughed softly. I never die that easy, Mason. I trained you better than that. Zorath leaned in. Who is this? Jack's voice softened. He was my CO. I served under him in the Seraph Wars. Tactical. Genius. Saved hundreds, maybe thousands. Rourke continued. Your signal came through loud and clear. You did good, Jack. Now just sit tight. Extraction in T-minus 15 minutes. Don't do anything stupid. The screen blinked off. Jack sat back, relief washing over his face. They're coming, he said. They're really coming. But Zorath didn't smile. He stood slowly, eyes narrowed. Too fast. Jack frowned. What? That was too Fast. I know human comm lag. The message shouldn't have reached them for at least another hour. Jack blinked. His relief evaporated. You think that wasn't Rourke? Zorath didn't answer. He just moved toward the window and peered out at the red sky. The storm clouds were splitting. A human ship was coming through the upper atmosphere. Fast, low, clean lines, black hull. Zorath's voice dropped. That's not Earth Force. That's a Black Ops model. 15 minutes later, the ship landed outside the relay station. Jack and Zorath waited behind stacked crates near the back hall. Then the door hissed open, and Jack's heart stopped. A man stepped through the smoke. Tall, gray beard, steel eyes. Commander Elias Rourke. Exactly as Jack remembered him. Jack, Rourke said with a smile. I've been a long time. Jack stepped out slowly, rifle lowered but not dropped. Sir, you came. Of course I came. You're one of mine, always have been. Zorath stepped into view behind Jack, weapon ready. Rourke looked at him. That's the fugitive? Jack hesitated. His name's Zorath. Rourke nodded slowly. Well, you've been busy. Then he raised his hand. Behind him, 10 soldiers in black armor entered the tower and pointed their guns at both Jack and Zorath. Jack froze. Wait. What is this? Rourke stepped closer. His voice lost its warmth. I'm here to clean this up, Jack. You weren't supposed to find him. You were supposed to file a report and leave. Instead, you made noise. You sent signals. You made them listen. Jack's voice cracked. You're working with the Corps? Rourke sighed. No. I'm working above them. The Corps built a weapon. This alien destroyed it. Now he carries what's left of the knowledge in his head. That's valuable. To both sides. Zorath growled. So you'll kill to own me? Rourke smiled. Not kill. Just extract. Zorath stepped forward, blaster raised. Try. Jack held his breath. His mentor, the man he trusted, was about to sell both of them out for power. Then Jack did something Rourke didn't expect. He aimed his gun at Rourke. Put the weapons down, Jack said. All of you. Rourke tilted his head. You won't shoot me. I'm done following orders that kill innocent people. Silence. Then in one motion, Zorath fired at the ceiling. Above the soldiers, boom. Debris rained down. Jack tackled Rourke. Zorath shot the light panels, plunging the room into chaos. Gunfire erupted in the dark. Minutes later, Jack and Zorath stumbled out of a side tunnel behind the tower, smoke rising behind them. The betrayal still burned in Jack's mind. My own people, he said. They knew about you. They wanted your tech the whole time. Zorath limped beside him. Now you see the truth. This war isn't humans versus aliens, it's power versus survival. They reached the edge of a ridge. Below, the desert stretched on. They were alone again. Hunted again. But now, they weren't just running. They were fighting back. The last chance. The desert stretched endlessly beneath a bruised red sky, and every step felt heavier than the last. Jack Mason and Zorath moved through the broken canyons of Virex, shadows trailing behind them like ghosts. Their clothes were torn, armor scorched. Neither had eaten in over a day. Zorath was limping harder now, every breath a painful wheeze. Jack's rifle was almost out of charge, but still they moved forward, because going back meant death and staying still meant worse. They reached a narrow ridge by nightfall, hiding beneath a rusted transport wreck from the old mining colony. Jack pulled out the alien beacon, still faintly glowing. The signal was weak now, distorted, barely pushing through the atmosphere. We need power, he said. Just enough to boost this signal once, a burst strong enough to get past the jammers. Zorath nodded. There is one place. Jack looked at him. Where? Zorath pointed west. The Corps built a covert recharge station 2 kilometers from here, underground, buried beneath the rock. I helped design it before I defected. Jack raised an eyebrow. You're just full of surprises. Zorath gave a bitter smile. That's why everyone wants to kill me. Hours later, they reached the spot. It looked like nothing. Just sand, dust, and rock. But beneath it, hidden under layers of shielding, was what they needed. An energy core capable of powering a warship. Zorath touched a small ridge in the stone. Lights blinked. A small circular hatch appeared, hissing open with old gas and grit. They climbed inside. The air was stale and heavy. The walls glowed faint blue. It was clean. Too clean. Jack stopped. Someone's already been here. Zorath nodded. I smell it too. Steel, oil, blood. They moved quietly through the station, weapons raised, breath low. Jack's grip tightened around the pulse rifle. Zorath guided him through silent corridors until they reached the core chamber. There, in the center of the room, a gleaming, humming heart of energy. Enough power to scream across galaxies, but they weren't alone. Standing by the console tapping into the core was a figure Jack knew too well. Commander Rourke. Alone. Unarmed. Waiting. He didn't even flinch when Jack raised the rifle. Go ahead, Rourke said. Shoot me. Jack didn't fire. How did you find this place? Rourke shrugged. You think you're the only one Zorath told secrets to? I trained you, Jack. You think I didn't plan for every variable? Zorath stepped forward. Why? Are you here? You could have sent troops. I did. They're dead, Rourke said coldly. The Corps didn't want witnesses, so now it's just us. He looked at Jack. You're still thinking small, Mason. Still clinging to rules and lines. In the dirt. But this, he pointed at the Corps. This is the chance to rewrite the galaxy. His knowledge. Your voice. My power. We could burn the Corps empire from the inside out. Or build something better. Jack stared at him. You murdered our people. You betrayed the oath. I evolved, Rourke said. You should too. The silence was sharp. Dangerous. Then Zorath said quietly, he's stalling. Look. From the far wall a red light blinked, barely visible. Jack's eyes widened, a beacon. Not theirs. A tracker. Rourke smiled again. You didn't think. I came alone, did you? Above them, miles away, another ship was descending, fast armed and core built. They made a deal, Zorath said bitterly. You're trading me for status. I'm ensuring survival, Rourke snapped. No, more running. No more hiding. Control the chaos or be crushed by it. Jack had heard enough. He fired. The bolt missed Rourke by inches, but hit the beacon behind him, destroying it in a flash of sparks. Then everything moved fast. Rourke drew a hidden sidearm. Zorath lunged and knocked it away, growling in pain. Jack slammed his rifle across Rourke's back, sending him to the ground. They didn't kill him. Not yet. But they left him tied to a core panel, weaponless, powerless, forgotten. Exactly what he feared most. Zorath collapsed near the core, blood running down his side. You have to finish it, he said weakly. Jack knelt. No, you're coming with me. Zorath shook his head. There's no time, they're coming fast, you need a chance. He held out the beacon and slid a data chip into Jack's hand. My memories, my science, my proof. Use it. Warn your people. Wake them up. Jack looked at him. The alien he had once feared, now willing to die for his mission, then nodded. No promises, he said, but I'll try. Jack plugged the beacon into the core. Light surged. The signal expanded. Strong, clear, unstoppable. Above them, the sky shifted. Storms broke. 1,000 listening ears opened, and the message went out. Every rebel cell, every rogue outpost, every hidden human base and core scientist who once doubted their empire, they all heard it. The message wasn't just a warning, it was a beginning. As Jack escaped through the southern tunnel, he looked back one last time. Core ship was almost there. Zorath would slow them down. He might die. He might survive. But his choice was made. Jack vanished into the canyon, holding the future in his hand. Humans fight back. 3 days passed since the message went out. 3 days of silence. Jack Mason wandered the outer dunes of Virex alone, burned, exhausted, watching the sky every hour, hoping, wondering if Zorath had survived the core strike, wondering if anyone out there had listened. He had uploaded everything Zorath had given him, the data, the schematics, the proof that the core empire had built a mind-erasing weapon and planned to use it on humans, rebels, and even their own species. But silence echoed louder than answers. Until now. At dawn, the sky cracked open. Not from the storm, from ships. Dozens of them. Small, fast, human-made, but marked with strange symbols. Rebel groups, rogue scientists, disavowed soldiers. People who once fought on opposite sides now flew under a single banner. They had heard the message. And they had come. Jack stood on the rocky ridge as the first dropships landed. From one of them stepped Commander Elira Drax, former Earth Fleet, defector and leader of the Arcreach Rebellion, a name whispered in secret channels for years. She walked right up to Jack. "You're the one who sent the signal?" she asked. Jack nodded. "Zorath did. I just lit the fuse." She looked, past him toward the old mining fields. "Then let's burn the rest of the powder." Meanwhile, in low orbit, the core command ship hovered, unaware that a war had arrived beneath its sensors. Inside, Rourke sat in a locked cell, bruised and stripped of rank. The core overseer stared at him. "You failed," the alien said flatly. Rourke smiled through bloodied lips. "You don't know humans very well." Then the alarm screamed. Outside, dozens of human rebel ships broke formation and dove like firebirds, targeting the core vessel from all sides. On the ground, Jack led the push from Virex Base 2, supported by rebel fighters and salvage combat. Drones. His only goal, take the relay tower back. It had been overrun by core ground units trying to suppress the source of the message. If they destroyed that evidence, this new alliance would fall apart. And deep inside the tower, Zorath was still alive, captured, wounded, hooked to machines, but alive. The core hadn't killed him. They wanted him whole, to finish the weapon. They'd lost. They didn't realize. He had already destroyed it, and he had one last plan. As the battle raged outside, Zorath whispered to the guard leaning over him, "You should leave. Now." The guard laughed. "Why?" Zorath bared his teeth. "Because I lied. I didn't destroy all of it." Then he triggered the last command embedded in the core's AI. The lights went dark, the walls vibrated, and the tower's power grid overloaded, just as the human ground team broke through the gates. Jack stormed inside with Elira's soldiers firing down core sentries. They found Zorath slumped in the corner, barely conscious, smiling faintly. "You came back," he said. Jack knelt. "Didn't come this far to let you die in a lab." Zorath held out his hand, fingers shaking. "You were right. Sometimes, you have to trust." Jack took it, then turned to the others. "We're done running. It's time we fight like humans." In orbit, the core command ship tried to flee, but a shadow eclipsed the sun. A human dreadnought, thought lost during the outer wars, had returned. Its AI core reawakened by the signal Jack and Zorath had sent. The ship opened fire. The core fleet fractured. In minutes, their grip on Virex was gone. Epilogue. Weeks later, Jack stood in front of a human rebel council. He played a final recording. It was Zorath's voice. "We are not so different. We bleed. We break. But if you fight for more than survival, if you fight for each other, you win. That is what the Empire fears." Across systems, rebels replayed it again and again. The war wasn't over, but the galaxy had changed. And somewhere in the stars, Zorath flew free. He wasn't just a fugitive anymore, he was a symbol. And so was Jack, not just a man, a human, who fought back. The end.